Hello, this is Annette with Project Refine Life. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this VR to Lispa Pez 21 tarot questions. Let's go ahead and get started. What is the deck that they'll have to pry out of your cold, dead hands? The Gentle Tarot, of course. I absolutely adore this deck. Love, love, love it every single way. I'm always talking about it. This is probably not going to change. So if this is a surprise to you and you've been watching my channel, I don't know how I misrepresented that because I absolutely love Mari's work. I love this deck. This deck speaks to me on so many levels. This is the deck that, yeah, you'd have to fight me for it because this isn't going anywhere. What's your guilty pleasure deck? Well, I have two of them in front of me, the Mysteries of the Black Madonna Tarot and the Mysteries of Mary. And it's not that I'm embarrassed by them, not at all. These are beautiful, beautiful decks, but they are pricey. And I don't regret my purchases. I think that these are absolutely stunning, stunning decks. And the work that she did in order to create these decks, I get it. And, you know, I'm on her Discord and she is impeccable with her words and with her actions, the way that she presents herself. And it is seen through these decks. And when it comes to producing the decks, she's equally as impeccable. So she makes sure that wherever she's getting these decks printed from, that they align with her personally. So yeah, they're pricey, but there's a reason for it. There's a lot that goes into creating a deck. That's why I really don't ever want to have to do that because that seems like an awful lot of work. But these decks are absolutely beautiful, but they are somewhat of a guilty pleasure because they did cost quite a few bucks here, but I love them nonetheless. What is the deck you wish existed? Well, my deck that I wish existed, and I have thought about making on my own for myself, but again, it's a lot of work and I would still have to, I don't know. There's a lot of work to be done in order to create the deck that I want to create or that I would love to see come to life. So I'm just going to put this out there. And if any of you are watching and have it in your mind to put it together, I would love to buy it. So what I would love is a curandera deck, a true curandera work. So the Herb Crafters is one of my favorite tarot decks, and that's because it includes all of the medicines that my mother used for us when we were growing up. You know, when we got sick, it was herbs, potatoes, onions, like seriously, it was just mother's medicine, you know, Mother Earth's medicine. That's what she used. These medicines were passed down from her mother, from her aunts, from her grandmother. So Herb Crafters has always been a very important deck to me for that reason. Now, in addition to that, we have the Herbal Astrology deck. And the Herbal Astrology deck, again, is all about healing, all about dealing with the earth and Earth's medicine. So these two kind of are along the same vibe. But then in addition to that, I would love to see within this imaginary deck of mine some of the images that are in this particular deck, which is, I'm so sorry, El Camino Oracle. I love this deck. And there's a lot of symbolism within this deck that I relate to and really represent what we use for healing medicine. So I would love to see some of these type of images, not all of them, but some of them within my imaginary beautiful deck. And in addition to that, I have the Modern Spiritual Latina Oracle that, again, has some of that medicine mentioned as well. So if there's a way to combine, oh, there's my neighbor's dog, a way to combine some of these type of medicines and symbolisms into one curandera deck, it would be fantastic. What deck would you give to a new reader? By far, the Super Linares. I think that this is a beautifully produced deck. I have there's two versions of this. This is the regular gilded version on a different cardstock, and then there is the Spark edition, which is a lot more cost effective. It is, from what I understand, one that people really like. It has like a linen texture on it, which I am tempted to get. I always say that. I still haven't bought it, but I would love to carry that one around with me, because this is the deck that actually, if somebody comes to me for a healing session or anything of that sort, this is the deck that I use for them. And it's such a clear reader. I love the diversity within the deck. I love that it's easy to read and easy to relate to. I love that there's images that correspond to a more traditional time and then a more modern time. It's not set in any specific time period. This is a gorgeous deck. I absolutely love it. What deck do you want to get along with, but just never clicked? That's the Baroque Tarot. I think that this deck is just absolutely beautiful. And since I don't get along with the RWS, I thought when I saw this, well, the images are, it's the same type of portrayal of the images. And I thought this would be it. And I really want it to be it. But there is something about this deck that I just haven't been able to connect to. And it's a beautifully produced deck. I don't know what it is. Even looking at it now, I keep it here. And even looking at it now, there's something about this that it just doesn't feel right to me. And I'm not quite sure why. So I keep it because I'm thinking that maybe there's some work that I have to do with this deck. Maybe there's a subconscious level that's talking to me through this deck, something that this deck can teach me that I can't put my finger on it. So I don't really know yet, but this is a deck that I really do wish that I could connect with, because it is an absolutely stunning deck. I just have not been able to do it. What deck do you keep only for the art? And this is it, La Corte de Cherokee? I don't know. Anyhow, I love this deck, and I have used it a few times. I really have. And I think it's lovely to use, and I love, hear that? The what it's printed on is, oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. It's a precious, precious deck. But because it is so precious, it kind of puts me off from using it because I don't want to ruin it. And I feel like this one could be easily mishandled or misused. But I absolutely love this deck. I love the quality. I love the images. There's just something about the way that it feels in the hands. And so I guess for the art within itself of the deck, the art itself plus the way that it's created, it's a beautifully produced deck, but it kind of stops me from using it as well. So that's question number 6. What deck did you buy because everybody else did? The Moonchild Tarot. This is another deck that, although I like the guidebook I think is fantastic. I really like it. And the production of the deck is really, really nice. I love the gilding. I love the cardstock. It's pretty thick. But I bought this deck because everybody else was buying the deck. And I don't connect to this deck. I don't know what it is, because the guidebook is amazing. And I just don't connect to this deck. And I know they have the new like shadow version of this deck out. And I have looked at it and I just thought, I am not, I'm just not going to. But it's the Moonchild. And I know that I'm probably hurting some feelings right now, even just saying this, because I know this is a favorite of many people, but there's just something about it that just doesn't work for me. What is the deck that is over your head or just baffles you? The Thoth. And you know what? I'm sure that it baffles me because I haven't really put in the time or effort with this deck. I know that that's it. You know, I love the decks that I have within my collection that are Thoth based, but when it comes to this particular deck, again, there is somewhat of a block, and I don't know if it has to do with the creator, not the artist, but the creator of the deck. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but I do know that it holds a lot of wisdom within the deck. So it's here. I don't know when I'm gonna get to, you know, really digging into the Thoth. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Maybe it'll just sit here just like this. I've been tempted to trim it, but you know, my time is limited. So I don't even want to put the time into trimming it at this point. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll do it. I'm not sure. I'm okay not knowing the complete answer with this right now. What deck surprised you? Well, I know I mentioned the Super Lunaris earlier about what is the deck that I would give to a new reader, and it's the Super Lunaris. I ordered this deck thinking there's something that keeps calling me back to this deck. I'm attracted to the theory of the deck, but not the artwork. This really wasn't my style. And I thought, I'm just gonna go ahead and order it. Let's see, if I don't like it, I can get rid of it. But when I got it in and I started reading with it, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the art. Now I look at the art and I'm like, how did I not like this beautiful, beautiful art? Because it's such a fantastic reader for me. I truly love this deck. And I don't know why I didn't include this in my 10 indie decks, because this is definitely one of them. What deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? I don't know if this is a collectible or not. I'm not quite sure. This is the second edition of the Tildwick Tarot. And, I've tried using it for like path working. I thought, okay, cool. This will be my path working deck. And I do love the images. I love that you can kind of get lost in them. But to be perfectly honest, it just really doesn't work for me. There are times, I'm not going to say never, but there are times when I pull this deck out and I go to look for it, or I go to read with it, and I'm kind of lost in it. I'm kind of sidetracked, or I don't know, but there's other decks that are similar, like the Shamanic Reiki type deck that, has this paint type smudgy art type of things, and the Marguerite Peterson, which has like these hidden figures, and that in that respect, this one is kind of similar to that. But there's something about this deck, again, that I don't know, it doesn't really work for me sometimes, but most of the time it really doesn't. What deck is your favorite gilded deck? Now there's a couple within my collection that I really, really love the gilding on. And, but this one is definitely one of them. This is the Brady Tarot. And you see this like matte gold type thing where it's not super shiny or super hard. It's just really soft on the hands. And I use this deck quite a bit. It is like that rose petal finish, so I do overhand shuffle this deck. I don't know if that's part of the reason that it's, kind of stayed so well. The edging has stayed so well, or the gilding rather. But above and beyond the fact that it has worn so well, like, it's just beautiful. It's like this understated luxury. What deck do you love but hate the cardstock? The Midnight Magic Tarot. This particular deck, I just did a walkthrough on this and a playing with pairs video. I think that this deck is beautiful. I love the images. I love the colors. I love the guidebook. I love how she cleverly related the archetypes of the tarot to the properties and attributes of these mushrooms. But the cardstock is just horrendous. It is really bad, but it's not going anywhere. I'm not getting rid of it because I really like the deck. I really love the way that it reads. These images are just absolutely stunning. I really, really like this deck. So even though I hate the cardstock, I'm gonna put up with it because I love the deck. What deck gives you the willies? The Somnia Tarot, but in a good way. It's not willies in a bad way where it freaks me out. It freaks me out because it is just so flippin' accurate. Like this deck, it's there for me when I need a voice that I am not either willing or able to access. The Somnia Tarot is there for me, and it is truthful, not hurtful, but brings things to the surface. And when you think about things in that respect, that a deck of cards could manage to invoke those feelings, it's kind of scary. What's your favorite deck for shadow work? By far, still and always, probably the El Goliath Tarot. This is an amazing, amazing deck. And again, one of those decks where you look at the art within the deck and you're like, oh my goodness, how did he do this? This is amazing. It is beautiful. But above and beyond the deck, the guidebook is, oh my goodness, it is so deep. And this deck really touches upon the work that needs to be done, where we need to shed some light. And some of these depictions, like for some people, may be a little bit harsh, but it is just a view into reality and what we need to see, what needs to be brought up. What deck do you love in theory but not in practice? The Witch's Wisdom. Now, the Witch's Wisdom, again, this is another deck that I really do enjoy. I really love the art within the deck and the meanings within the guidebook as well. When you read the guidebook, it is beautiful. I really love it. What I don't like about the deck is that the majors are reversed, and so when I'm reading with it, when I use it, I ignore the number on the card itself, and because I have to ignore that, I'm almost having to ignore the guidebook in a sense as well. And lately I find myself reaching for this deck less and less, maybe because new things have come into my collection, but I'm not getting rid of it. I still love it. It's just, I wish, I wish that I could go along with the theory of how it was created. It makes sense, but for me, it doesn't make sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but this is the Witch's Wisdom. But what deck would you never use to read for someone else? And that's the Ritual Tarot. For one, the Ritual Tarot is far, far, far too personal to me for me to use on anybody else. This is my deck. This is for me. And I completely understand when I'm looking at this deck, the images and how they relate to me, because I spent a lot of time getting to know this deck. So it would not work for me to be able to read for somebody else with this deck because it's mine. It's just for me. So yeah, couldn't read for anybody else with this. Question number 17, what deck would you never use for yourself? Basically, all my decks are just for me, with the exception of a few that I use in ceremony or in healing sessions. but pretty much I just read for myself, so all of my decks are fair game. What deck could you not bring yourself to buy? Well, there's a few, but the main one is Medicine Woman Tarot. That is a no buy for me. What is your favorite pip deck? The Tarot of the Drowning World. I absolutely love this deck. It is so flippin' pretty. It calls me like crazy. I just don't, I always say this, I just don't understand. I don't know why. But I love this deck. I mean, look at this. Look at the cups and the water. It's floating. You have the fish, you have the flowers, you have the fruit, and it all is like this abundance. And when you look at these pips, when you look how beautifully everything is displayed, it is just, there's so much work that went into this too. I love this deck. And scary thing is, I just can't figure it out with this deck. To me, if there's some kind of magic put into a deck, this is one of them, because this one calls me like crazy and I just can't figure it out, but I do love it. What deck slaps you with the truth? The Reclaim Oracle. Now, a lot of people say that this deck is a little bit too rough for them. I don't know, maybe I just need to be slapped harder than other people. I don't know. It's good. I love this deck. I can handle what it's telling me. And I appreciate where it's coming from. I appreciate that even though it's a hard deck to read with, it's very compassionate as well. This is a staple within my collection. I will never let this deck go. This is a beautiful, beautiful deck. And really, like, whatever this creator does, I'm up for it. I know that Dawn Michelle recently did a video in where she was discussing the decks that she buys because of the creator and her collection because of the creator. This is one of them, and because of this deck, because I see her, I see where she's coming from with this deck. I think it's absolutely wonderful. What is the deck that got away? Well, that is the indie version of the Dark Goddess Tarot. I absolutely love this deck. It is beautiful. I love the art. I love the guidebook, and I'm happy to have the mass market edition because of the guidebook. It works for me, but I wish that I had went ahead and bought the indie version when I had the opportunity. I probably didn't have the money at that point, and that's why I didn't get it. But now, when I see the indie version for sale, which is not very often anymore, it is really, really expensive, and I just can't do it. I just can't spend that much on a deck. But hey, if you have it and you want to part with it, let me know, because we might be able to work something out. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you so much for being present and watching my 21 Tarot Questions VR to Lisa Pepez. I wish you a beautiful day filled with love, joy, and happiness. I will see you later.